Welcome back to Two Doctors Homestead. My name's Daniel, and good morning. Good morning to everybody. I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for the last couple days now is, do you still need to prepare? What does that look like? What does the world look like now? Because the world changed. There's no arguing that. The world just changed. And what do those changes mean? Right? How do they impact you? How do they impact you as a prepper? How do they impact you as a homesteader? What's on your bingo card now, right? There's been a lot of stuff on the bingo card. Got a bug for quite a while now that's probably not on the bingo card anymore, and we're going to jump into that. We're going to talk about, do you need to prepare, and what does that look like going into 2025, right? What's your risk profile? And that's something I find interesting about being a prepper. You know, we've talked about the likelihood of civil unrest in the United States using that hydrology mathematics. All that stuff I find very fascinating. So when we're looking through the eyes of a prepper, we're trying to determine what is the risk? What's the real risk of any of this stuff happening, and should we be doing anything about it as an individual, right? So before we jump into that, before we go into, do you still need to be a prepper, just want to say, I said, good morning. You know, life out here on the homestead is pretty good. Just did my ruck. I'm trying to work out as much as I can. Did 2-mile ruck, 65 pounds of gear. I'm trying to get a little faster. I'm not interested in running. Get a little more weight. So doing the rucking, and I would recommend that to anybody. Get yourself physically prepared, physically strong, mentally prepared, mental resiliency, regardless of what happens, right? You are your most important tool. You are your most important prep, your mind, your mental clarity. So certainly would recommend that to anybody. And we've made videos on becoming mentally prepared. So last video was get out and vote, and you did. Appreciate that, right? Not saying I influenced everybody to get out and vote. I just think it was important to bring that up, and I think a lot of people saw that as important. And here we are. The election's over, and we will. It's hard to say. Hard to say the world isn't about to change, right? We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we can look at what's been said, right? What's being speculated, the direction. You know, the boat was going this way, and we shifted the boat that way, right? And let's talk about what may be coming down now that we've shifted the boat and we're going in a different direction. Now, when we talk about the bingo card, right, what could happen? Since February 24th, 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, right? We've been supporting Ukraine. NATO's been supporting Ukraine. I'm not here to talk about the good, the bad. Should we do it? Shouldn't we have done it? But throughout that support, we've had a lot of tension, I'll say, with Russia as a country, and things like nuclear attack, infrastructure sabotage, cyber attack, bioweapons attack, EMP. That's all been on the board since that conflict started, since we've had those tensions with Russia, which is a major nuclear power. It's entirely likely that that's going to end, right? I mean, that's what we're hearing. We won't know till it happens and what it looks like, but we're hearing that may happen, right? That war may end. That war may be over. We may go into peace with Russia. Better for worse, not going to argue that. That's not my point. That's not the point of this video. But if we are at peace with Russia, the odds of nuclear weapons going off in the middle of the night go way down, right? They've been a major nuclear power. Same thing we're hearing in Palestine. Same thing we're hearing Houthis. A lot of that. There's a strong possibility that over the next few months that we'll see a de-escalation of World War III, whether you want to say World War III, a little plane going overhead, whether you want to say World War III already started, was about to start, could start, was imminent. If all that wraps up and we go into an age of peace with these foreign countries, better or worse, right? Not arguing that. The likelihood of any of that goes way down, right? Does that mean you don't need to be a prepper anymore? I mean, let's talk about that. There's other things going on that you may want to, right? We just hit the snooze button on World War III, I believe. We'll see what happens, right? Time will tell. We'll find out, say, in the next couple months what happens with that. But if we did hit the snooze button on World War III, you can look at some other things that are coming up, other things I think you may already be aware of, but we can dig in on the impacts. Once again, not talking about if this is right, if this is wrong, if this is what we should be doing. It's what's happening, right? Whether we like it or not, isn't going to make much of a difference. But you look at some of the plans that we're seeing, some directions we're seeing on the economy, on the size of government, things like tariffs, right? And there's a lot of question, how will tariffs affect me individually, right? And I'd love to argue that all day. That's not the point of this video. A lot of people seem to think things like tariffs could affect prices, could affect your ability to provide for your family. We'll see on that, right? I'm not necessarily on board with that idea, but that's out there, right? People talk about that. So potential economic impacts, right? We're talking about deportations. It's been said. Don't know what's going to happen, not arguing right or wrong, but if there are mass deportations, if there are things like tariffs on imported goods, and you layer on top of that, look at what we're talking about, massive potential drastic changes to huge government agencies like the FDA, like Department of Agriculture, changes to our food supply, ingredients in food, that's all being talked about. But what impact could that have, right? Are we talking about supply chain issues? Are we talking about shortages? Are we talking about unrest, right? Everything we could be saying might happen could be described as breaking eggs, right? You got to break eggs to make an omelet. They're talking about breaking a lot of eggs that might upset a lot of people, right? Does that lead to civil unrest? Does that lead to the things we've talked about before, right? Things like civil war. Not saying it's going to happen. There's a lot of upset people right now, and they haven't even started breaking eggs, we'd say, right? They're going to break a lot of eggs, make that omelet. So we could say the snooze button's hit, right? I think we hit the snooze on World War III. We'll find out, but that's my opinion. Should you still prepare? Certainly physical preparation, mental preparation. Preparation's always a long game. I'm a second-generation prepper, been prepping my whole life, long before Russia invaded Ukraine as a prepper, right? And I think being prepared for that long winter, being prepared for shortages, prepping for inflation, prepping for natural disasters, right? We didn't stop having tornadoes. We didn't stop having hurricanes. Just because we just had an election, right? I think there's a lot of things as a prepper you should focus on, right? And just figure out if you're in an area, if you're in Tornado Alley, you should have a plan. You should have an idea what you're going to do. If you have a tornado incident, if you live in hurricane areas, you should have a plan for hurricane areas. Same thing. If you live in an area where there might be civil unrest, you should have a plan for civil unrest. What will happen next? We don't really know. Right, all we know is what's been said, and I think as a prepper, right, if we go into, right, if we snooze World War III, enjoy it. Enjoy a period of peace and prosperity if that is what happens. So prepare. Prepping's a long game, right? There might be things you're looking at, things you need to get, things you didn't have. Do you still need your bunkers and your Geiger counters and your iodine tablets? Maybe not. You could probably put those on the shelf for the next few years. If the risk of nuclear war goes from the highest ever to, I don't want to say zero, but to a normal level due to, say, peace with Russia, peace with China. We'll see what happens with Iran. I don't think anyone's calling peace with Iran, but there's a high likelihood we can see that kind of wrapping up. I know I'm kind of talking in circles, right? So I don't want to get super political on this. We're just talking about, you know, what we see on the horizon, what I think you need to prepare for. Domestic things I think are still domestic risks I think are still very real. Long-term prepper game, absolutely continue prepping. If there is prosperity, if there is peace, that's the best time. That's the best time to prepare, right? Prepare for the hard times, enjoy the good times, focus on yourself, focus on your physical health, focus on your mental health. So that's all I've got. And sorry for the shade. If I move, you see my hand, if I move like 1 foot that way, I get washed out by the sun. So it's either washed out by the sun or a little bit of shade. Today's a big day on Homestead. I'm cleaning out the chicken coop, and if you've seen our chicken coop, it's pretty big, 52 by 12. So I'll be out shoveling the chicken coop. Did my workout this morning, just taking care of a few things. Right, winter's coming, so we're doing our winter prep, getting ready for Thanksgiving. So I hope you all get ready for Thanksgiving as well. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll make a video before then, get some videos dropping. A couple videos dropping next week. We did the product videos. I told you guys we're going to do the product videos. We already dropped 2 product videos. We have 2 more product videos we're working on. Just trying to show you some cool stuff, working with some vendors. We get some cool stuff. We show you some cool stuff. It's win-win. If you don't want to watch the videos, that's okay. Right? We're just showing products that we think might be fun, useful to have. So, as always, hope that helps out, and thank you for watching.